You're crying right now, and you don't even know why. Not sad crying, not happy crying, just tears streaming down your face for a reason your brain can't quite articulate. And here's what's wild. You might be the only creature on the entire planet experiencing that specific thing. We think of crying as universal. We think of it as something animals do. And they do cry, but here's the thing that nobody talks about. Almost every other animal on Earth cries for exactly one reason: to clean their eyes, to flush out debris, to keep the cornea from drying out. It's purely mechanical, it's purely biological. It serves a function and then it's done. But humans cry when we're overwhelmed. We cry when we're moved. We cry when we see something beautiful or devastating or confusing, or just too much to process all at once. We cry at weddings. We cry at funerals. We cry at movies. We cry at songs. We cry at the thought of people we miss. And this is completely different from what every other animal does. Scientists have been studying this for decades, and they keep coming back to the same conclusion. Emotional tears are almost entirely unique to humans. Some primates might produce tears when distressed, but there's no evidence they're actually emotional tears in the way humans experience them. Elephants have tear ducts. Dogs have tear ducts. Horses have tear ducts. But when they cry, they're not crying about their feelings. They're cleaning their eyes. So the question becomes, why did we evolve to do this? Why did humans develop the ability to physically express emotional overwhelm through tears? What was the evolutionary advantage? Why would a creature evolve to leak salt water from its face when experiencing emotion? The answer is probably more complicated than you think, and it starts with understanding what tears actually are. Your tears are not just salt water. They're incredibly complex. They contain proteins, antibodies, enzymes, hormones. Emotional tears have a completely different chemical composition than the tears you produce to clean your eyes. Emotional tears have more protein. They have more hormones, specifically a hormone called prolactin, which is associated with stress. So when you cry emotionally, you're not just leaking water, you're releasing chemicals that your body has specifically produced in response to overwhelm. This is significant because it suggests that emotional tears are not a byproduct of something else. They're not an accident. They're not just your eyes getting wet because you're sad. They're an actual physiological response that your body has evolved to produce. But why? Here's where it gets interesting. One theory is that emotional tears are a form of communication. When you cry, you're signaling to everyone around you that you're overwhelmed, that you need help, that something is wrong. And this would have been incredibly valuable in ancestral human groups. If you were part of a tribe and someone started crying, you immediately knew that person was in distress. You could help them. You could comfort them. You could figure out what was wrong. This theory makes sense because tears are actually visible. Dogs can't see other dogs crying emotionally. They can't see the signal. But humans can see when other humans are crying, and we respond to it. We feel compelled to help. We feel compelled to comfort. We feel empathy. And this creates a social bond. But there's another theory, and it might be even more important. Emotional tears might be a form of self-regulation. When you cry, you're literally releasing chemicals that help you calm down. The prolactin in emotional tears has been shown to reduce stress in humans. So by crying, you're not just signaling distress to other people, you're actually treating your own distress. You're self-soothing at a chemical level. This would explain why people often feel better after crying, even if nothing has been solved, even if the problem is still there. The act of crying itself produces a chemical response in your body that reduces stress. And here's what's wild about this. Most mammals can't do this. They can't produce tears that actively help them manage their emotions. Only humans seem to have this ability, which means at some point in our evolutionary history, our tear ducts evolved to do something that no other animal's tear ducts do. They became emotional. But there's still the question of how this happened. How did tears go from being purely a mechanism to clean eyes to being a full emotional release system? And the answer probably has to do with the fact that humans are uniquely social creatures. We live in complex groups. We have complex emotions. We have to navigate intricate social hierarchies and relationships. And emotional tears helped us do that. They allowed us to communicate distress without words. They allowed us to process overwhelming emotions by actually releasing them from our bodies. They created opportunities for bonding and support that other animals simply don't have. Some scientists think that emotional tears might even be connected to language. As humans developed more sophisticated language, we developed more sophisticated emotions. We started thinking about abstract concepts like loss and beauty and mortality. And when we encountered these things, we needed a way to process them that was beyond just fight or flight. We needed a way to release the overwhelm, and tears became that mechanism. This is why you can cry at a movie about fictional characters you've never met. This is why you can cry at a song. This is why you can cry just thinking about something sad, because your brain recognizes overwhelm and your tear ducts respond. They produce these complex, hormone laden tears that help your body manage the stress. You're one of the only creatures on the planet that can do this, one of the only animals that can leak salt water from its face and actively reduce its own stress levels in the process, one of the only creatures that can signal emotional distress to others and create the opportunity for connection and support. And here's what scientists are starting to realize. This might actually be one of the things that makes us human. Not language, not tool use, not intelligence, but the ability to cry when we're overwhelmed, the ability to break down, to show vulnerability, to let other people know that we need help, to process our emotions through our bodies, not just our minds. So the next time you cry, you're not just expressing emotion, you're engaging in a physiological process that almost no other animal on Earth can engage in. You're releasing stress hormones, you're signaling to people around you that you need support. You're doing something that humans have been doing for thousands of years to survive and connect and process the overwhelming complexity of being alive. You're crying, and that's actually pretty remarkable.